Hey folks, welcome back to another HP Gaming GameLINK video. Today we're doing something a little bit different, something we haven't done in a little while because we've had so much Kickstarter stuff coming in. But today we thought we'd chuck up another little review for you. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while, having had it in my hands for the better part of a month now. And I just wanted to share my thoughts on what has become a wonderful pastime and another income stream for me because we're enjoying it so much. Today, I am going to be sitting down with a particular new box set and taking you through the components and the adventure and giving it my bit of an overview and final thoughts as we take a look at the brand new starter set for Dungeons & Dragons, the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know me by now, and you should, my name is Matt, and as I said in the tease, this is a video about some D&D content. It has been out for a little while, but I thought I'd just weigh in and give you my 2 cents worth. I'm talking about the new starter set, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Now, this is an adventure for 2 to 6 players, including Dungeon Master. It takes characters from level 1 through to level 3, potentially level 4, depending on how you play the game. It is the replacement starter set for one of the most beloved starter sets and adventures, not even starter sets, one of the most beloved adventures of all time, and that is, of course, the Lost Mine of Phandelver, which you can see here. And for those of you who have been playing along at home, you'll know that is the adventure that we ran with Charlotte and Ben on our live streams not too long ago, earlier this year. So, at its core, this is an adventure that is, additionally, obviously, it's a starter set, so it's designed to get people into the game, help them understand the basic rules, run some basic combat, etc., and obviously give them a bit of a story to follow along as well and experience. The character options here, or the pre-gen sheets, I should say, are okay. They're fine. They give you a bit of an overview of different races and abilities, racial traits, even a few little modicums of quest archetypes as well that you can follow along as detailed in the adventure guide. But overall, look, I'm just going to jump right to it. This is not... If you're brand spanking new to D&D and you've never played any D&D at all, this will suffice. Is it enough to make you want to come back and go, oh, I'd love to play some more, I'd love to expand this universe that we're building and creating together? I don't think so. I mean, it's a great launching point. I mean, you get dragons off the bat, which is fantastic, but I mean, throwing dragons even at the Wormling stage at a bunch of level 3 characters, I just find it's a bit too soon, a bit too early. You need to build up to that point. A lot of the players that I know and chat with have said that when they've played Phandelver, which is where they started because it was a great starter set, it was a great product, they would come across Venomfang in Thundertree, spoiler alert by the way, and that would be their first encounter with a dragon, but they would have had so many sessions to get to that point. If they did it all, obviously they can go and do whatever they like. So Venomfang as an encounter in the Phandelver campaign is historic. It's amazing. It's always been such a wonderful experience for new gamers and veterans alike. Here, there's a bit of mystery, there's a bit of insight into what happens to dragons when they grow old, how they shapeshift and stuff like that. Again, spoiler alert. But my concern is that it's not meaty enough. To level 3 is one thing, but with the Phandelver campaign, you could manage to get all the way up to level 6 potentially. And that just gave you so much more invested in the adventure. You had someone you were looking to potentially find. There was traveling on the road, you got ambushed, and then that led to this, and each part of the adventure leads to something else. Whereas here, this is more Dragons of Stormwreck Isle runs more like Dragon of Icespire Peak in the Essentials kit, which is again another great product, but it's very much guided by the players, which is how D&D should be, I feel. But if they're brand new and they have no direction whatsoever and no understanding of what it is they can actually accomplish, the DM has to basically give them breadcrumb trails on what to do next, which is fine and that's great. But there's no clear linear, I guess, if that's the word I'm trying to use, way of how to get from A to B to C to D. I just find that they can go here, here, or here. What do you want to do? But then they don't know. There's no sort of guide on which is the best way. And then they're throwing an owlbear in there for a bunch of level 1, 2, or 3 characters. That's an incredible piece of combat. And if they come across that, stumble across that, and go and potentially do the wrong thing, that's a total party kill. It sort of feels a bit slapdash. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. And to start off with a zombie encounter and encourage the DM to use undead fortitude and bring the zombies back to life time and time again. There was something about the Goblin Ambush in Phandelver, and I know I'm comparing this to the Phandelver set, but this is what a lot of people have said. They're worried that retiring the Phandelver set was not a great move because it is such a beloved adventure. And I guess, I've run Phandelver countless times with different groups and different parties and had a different experience every time, and it's always been amazing. Maybe that'll be the same with this. Who knows? But the Goblin Ambush encounter, the very first part of the Phandelver campaign, for those of you that have played it, you know what I'm talking about, again, is a great introduction to combat in D&D, a great introduction to a bit of foreboding and dread. Players who are astute and sort of get into it from the get-go will know something is not right with these dead horses in the middle of the road. They'll see the trail, the bodies being dragged through the mud, and then expect something's up. And then when the attack happens, they're either ready for it or there's an element of surprise. I just love that. And the way that different players have approached that first initial encounter has been amazing to watch. Whereas here, you get up on your landing and you go to walk away. And as you're going to walk away up the hill, you hear gurg, arg coming from the water. I mean, great, okay, it's zombies. We get to attack zombies. But we're already walking away from the zombies and the zombies are clearly shambling slowly. We could just continue walking. Oh, okay. There's no immediate threat. Unless you, as a DM, push the players into that situation where they cannot escape and they're already in the water, one of them's getting dragged away, there's no reason for them to stay and fight. There's no reason for them to feel that sense of combat and urgency like there is with the ambush at the start of Phandelver. So I just find it's not, I don't know, maybe it's because I have Phandelver at heart. It's just not the adventure it could potentially be. Having said all that, the book itself, the artwork, the presentation of the adventure, how it all sort of works with the different chapters, presents well. The fact that it's an island off of the Sword Coast in the Forgotten Realms setting, fantastic. It brings people back to that sort of same setting that we know and love. The maps are fantastic. The illustrations, the writing is great in that respect, in terms of its flavor text. It's just, see, an owlbear. I just find that it's not, I don't know, there's something about it that just doesn't grab me. But, as I said, having said all that, as a DM, you have the opportunity to homebrew the absolute bejeebers out of this, to make it something really special. And as I think, for me, I mean, Charlotte wants to run this with her younger sister, Blair, which I think will be fine. Not a problem. Blair wants to be a tabaxi. It's a whole thing. Blair is 4, by the way, for those of you who don't know. But homebrewing this and effectively putting little threads into an existing campaign and having this as a side adventure in amongst the main campaign, now that is something I can get behind. Obviously, if your characters are at level 10 or above or whatever, you're going to have to really rejig some of this. But if they're at level 10, put a dragon in. A real dragon, not a wormling, a dragon. Go for it. So I think having this as a side quest or a side adventure and really beefing it up, that's going to bring a lot of craziness to the game as well. The Seagrow Caves part of it, I will say, is quite nice. I do like going with the myconids and everything else as well. That's fantastic. The artwork is spectacular in the adventure. It's brilliant. I hope the ring light's not causing too much glare on this. I don't know. There's some great ideas here. There's some really great ideas here, but I think it hasn't been fleshed out. It's not maybe I'm biased. Maybe that's what it is. But it's not the Phandelver experience. And again, it's never the adventure that makes the game. It's the players that make the game. That is why we love D&D so much and all the rest of it. So I guess waiting to see what people do with this, I think, is probably going to be where we become into our own in this respect, the Clifftop Observatory. What I do like as well is you've got all these characters that are from D&D of old, even the old D&D cartoon, which is pretty cool. The observatory with the sunken bridge, all that sort of stuff, waking up the dragon, ending the adventure. It just feels rushed. And that, I think, is my biggest critique with it. It's still D&D. It's still something that I'm going to run and I'm going to enjoy, but would I run this over Phandelver? No, of course not. Phandelver is amazing. I will say part of the reason they've done this is because they've retired Phandelver in preparation for the Phandelver campaign, which is obviously going to be a core book or adventure book that's going to be coming out, I think, mid-2023, which I am excited for, to see Phandelver getting some love. And there's going to be a ton of pressure on Wizards to produce that in such a way that it is still going to retain its love, but also have a meatier chunk to it to allow those players that have played Phandelver to run it again in spectacular fashion. So I think knowing the Phandelver campaign is coming, that's going to be something truly special, I think, provided they do it justice, which I think they will. But for this one, I mean, look, as a starter set, it's a starter set. It'll be what it is. That's fine. The rule book is straightforward. It's very, very basic, as it is. It talks about the game dice, rhythm of play, how it all sort of works, etc. Look, as a starter set, look, it does what it says on the box. It'll give you a starting adventure, give you a taste of what's going on. There are other components within the different characters. There's a lot of room for role play as well in terms of some of the beats that happen within the story. Is the story fantastic? No, not particularly. I mean, it's okay. But I do say, as I said before, I will probably have to add in a lot of other elements just to beef it up a little bit. And I think it's partly because as well, I mean, Charlotte has been spoiled. She's run through Phandelver. She's run through our own homebrew campaign, Brotherhood of Scales, which she absolutely thrived in. And I think having had that experience of hardcore D&D where it gets to the point where it is literally all a complete homebrewed world, she'll come back to this and be, what? This is easy. Or she'll see what's coming before it happens. She'll metagame without even meaning to. Look, I don't want to be too hard on it. I know I have been, partly because, as I said, I'm biased of Phandelver, but this new starter set is still going to provide a great experience for those who are very green. But veterans, I think, are going to look at this and go, really? You know? Yeah, I don't know. Again, my own opinion. If I'm wrong, please, by all means, you are welcome to disagree with me. I will say, having said everything about the rulebook and the actual adventure itself, the character sheet options are quite nice. So you've got here, you have a cleric, Hildwarf. You have a fighter who's a wood elf. Having the fighter class is something a bit different rather than just a standard healer and barbarian. Paladin is nice. You've got a rogue, which is staple. And then you've got the wizard as well. And I think having magic wielders who aren't tanks like barbarian in the other set, I think is fantastic. It gives a lot more room for different character options, and the fact that the class or the party is so diverse, I do like that as well. Different character traits, different backgrounds come into play. You've got people with initiative of -1, which makes it interesting as well. No, it's not just gung-ho, you know, you're a beefy unit and you're going to go out there and tromp all over everything, which I think is fantastic as well. Does present a little bit more risk for the party, which, again, if they haven't played D&D, is probably not in the too hard basket, but it's definitely a risk, well and truly. And I think being able to have that risk element before you set out and understanding or helping the characters understand that they are very squishy, that's something that you probably do need to let the players know before you start if you're running this with brand new D&D players. Hit point maximum at level 1 for rogue is only 9. So a couple of decent swings from 2 of those zombies and that rogue is dead. Simple as that. Or at least is already making death saves. The one thing I don't want to have happen and again, you can make it work so it doesn't happen, is to have someone on death saves in the first combat. Yes, it does make it real, but at the same time, I don't know. I just think it's... the DM's guide for the adventure pushes the undead fortitude thing for zombies. I don't know. It's a bit... Having said that, I mean, Fandelver, you had people on death save. You have a party of 4 and there's 4 goblins there. A goblin can roll a d6 and deal 7 points of damage and take someone down to 3 health points within the first combat. Again, risky, but that's what we're here for. There's no reason you couldn't have them geared up with health potions, healing potions at the start of the adventure, but at the same time, you don't want to make it too simple so they lose interest. Again, as with any adventure in D&D, it is designed to be set out as a sandbox that you can then tweak as you require. So as a DM, if you're running this one, I would very much suggest that you homebrew, add in a bit extra, think about the lore that you're trying to create within the world and make it your own, as you should. But as I said, I do like the idea of chucking this in as a sort of a mini side adventure that the players can go on over a couple of sessions as well. Just to really, I mean, if you've got astute players and you're running with a party of 2 or 3, you could potentially knock that over in 2.5, 3 sessions. Easy. If you've got some real hardcore players and they want to run a 6-hour session, you could knock it over in 2, well and truly. You could even slimline it and knock it over in a session. Have them arrive on Stormwreck Isle and speedrun it effectively in a 6-hour session. You could easily do that as well. So there's pros and cons. A lot on the negative side, but that's just me being a purist, for lack of a better term. But I do, as I said, like the idea of putting it in as a side hustle for the characters as well in a longer campaign. Those are my thoughts. As I said, they are mine and mine alone. If you have any conflicting thoughts, if you have any bits and pieces you would like to check off, if you have any thoughts of your own, by all means, please pop them in the comment section below, and I will gladly engage you in a healthy and hearty debate about this new product. Well, not new, it's been out for nearly a month and a half now. Have you run Dragons of Stormwreck Isle? What did you think? How did your PCs go? Did it work for you? Did it not work for you? What did you like? That sort of stuff. What did your players like? And what did the players go a bit meh? Have you run it for brand new players? That's what I'm interested in. How have they taken to it as well? But yes, if you are a player and you've had this one run for you, please let me know in the comments as well how you fared. Would love to hear your thoughts too. But overall, I mean, look, it's a decent product. It does what it says on the box. I just think there could be a bit more to it. For me, this is probably around the 5 out of 10 mark. Okay. But again, that's just partly because of bias and everything else as well. I just feel the adventure is not what it could potentially be. All right, folks, that's it for now. We're going to get back to some other videos and other bits and pieces as well. If you have any comments, pop them in. Thank you. It would be remiss of me not to thank our Patreon subscribers for allowing us to do all the crazy stuff we do here at HB Gaming and GameLINK. So thank you very much, sweeties. We really appreciate all your love and support. And for the rest of you for getting this far and for hitting that subscribe button as well, giving us a like, we really appreciate that. It's a small action from you, but it means the world to me and the team here at HBG. We are going to get back to the table. We've got 3 different games of D&D I've got to prepare for this week. Other games coming up soon, more Kickstarters, more craziness as we hurtle towards Christmas in epic, spectacular fashion. We'll see you back here for some more epic board game and tabletop fun in the not too distant future. Until then, folks, it is bye for now.